All right, as you can see, we have a very straightforward, simple sketch of a safety message, in this case, slippery when wet. And this little sketch has a few visual attributes that we want to list. Now, you can see on the right, we have our list of attributes that's already been populated with a couple of attributes, person and floor. These are things that have been spotted in prior symbols drawn by prior participants. So someone else has done this exercise and they've already identified at least a couple of attributes. And so they've populated a list here that's carried over to this symbol. Now in this symbol, we want to identify all the attributes and then refer back to the master list to see which attributes are already there and which ones we need to add. And this is how we do the attribute rating process. So when we do attributes, we want to make sure that we only identify the simplest, most straightforward visual components. We're not interested in things such as the angle of the elbow or the height and the length of any particular part of the symbol or anything like that. We're not interested in those details. We're not interested in how high quality the picture is. We're simply interested in what is supposed to be drawn there. What was that drawing supposed to mean? So I'll show you that I see about 4 attributes. You might can make a case there are only 3. I'm going to say that I think there are 4, and I'll illustrate what they are. So first, I see that there's the ground, okay? The ground or the floor. The second attribute that I see is this stick figure, or we'll just call it a person. The third attribute that I see is the addition of this blue puddle, and I believe that's what that is, a puddle of water or something like that. And then those 3 are probably pretty obvious. The fourth one may be something that you might overlook, but I believe that this artist decided to add this expression on the face of this person as a sort of additional component to express surprise or being startled or something like that. So we'll call that a scared face, just sort of a casual name for it. So those are the 4 attributes that I see in this picture. Notice again, I didn't specify the angle of the knees or that the arms are kind of longer than the legs or any of those kinds of features. I simply am worried about, do I identify the very main things that are supposed to be presented here in this symbol? And so now we go over to our attribute list. You see that there's already 2 things there. And the first thing we need to do then is to look at the attributes already listed and see if they're present. Well, a person, yes, we have that as present. That's one of our 4 attributes in this picture. The second one is floor. Well, that's also present in our picture. So check. Now, we've gone through all the attributes already on the master list, but we still have some that we identified in our picture that have yet to be listed here. So we're going to list those now. So the third one then will be the puddle. And yes, it's present in this picture, of course. And then the fourth one is this scared face. We'll just call it scared face. And even though that's kind of a casual name, as long as we know what you mean by that term, then that's a fine term. And then, of course, that's also present. Now, we've identified all the attributes and made sure they're on the list and made sure we've identified each of the ones that are present. The last step is to determine its importance. Now, the importance is simply saying if we were, say, to remove that particular attribute from the picture, would the message still be communicated by the symbol? The higher the importance, either a 1, 2, or 3, 3 being the highest, the higher the importance, the more likely removing it would just completely throw off the entire picture. Does that make sense? So I'll illustrate. I believe that if I were to remove this person from this picture, the message would be completely destroyed. There'd be no understanding that this is a slippery when wet symbol. So therefore, I have to give the person an importance of 3, the maximum value. Now, if I were to remove the floor from this picture, it might make it more difficult, but it might be possible for someone to still get the message just from the pose of the person. So I'm going to say that that's a moderate importance of 2. Now, if I were to remove the puddle, I think there's a really good chance that just from the rest of the picture, someone might still get the message. So I think the puddle is a pretty low importance of 1, although it does add value to it. And by giving it importance of 1, we're not saying that it's not valuable or not a good addition. It just simply means that it's not as critical to the understanding. It just may help the understanding, but it's not terribly critical to it. And then finally, the scared face. Again, I would say that's a good addition interesting, but probably not critical. I could see without that face, I'd probably still get the message. So I'm going to give that also an importance of only 1. Now there you go. That is how we look at a simple sketch and rate its attributes. We've listed all the attributes, made sure that we added any new ones that were present in this picture that weren't on the list. We made sure that we identified all the ones that were present, and then we rated them from 1 to 3, with 3 being the highest importance. Okay, that is all there is.